Today's education system is undeniably centred on the use of technology in order to equip students with the necessary knowledge and skills needed for the technological age, that is the 21st century. Schools have implemented programs and curriculums utilising various information and communication technologies in order to foster e-learning and blended learning to create a flipped classroom. These curriculums, including the Australian curriculum's ICT general capability, as well as the Digital Technologies curriculum to be implemented in Victoria, are designed to enable students to become confident and creative developers of digital solutions through the application of information systems and specific ways of thinking about problem solving. However, with the increasing discussion on the issue of equity in learning opportunities for students, due to the lack of consistency in the incorporation of ICT in education, the implementation of Victoria's digital technologies curriculum presents further challenges for teachers who may be unskilled or lack confidence in areas outlined in the curriculum. In particular, teachers may struggle with the coding aspect of the curriculum, which is seen as an essential skill for students to possess in a digital economy. Furthermore, with a shortfall of computing teachers in Australia, the implementation of the digital technologies curriculum leads to the question of who is going to teach it, with the possibility that teachers who have little to no skills in areas such as coding will be attempting to develop students' skills that are seen as necessary to participate in society in the 21st century. This can have a negative impact on the development of students' ICT skills, as it has been found that the Australian students are increasingly struggling to achieve the basic level required in ICT, with just over half of students in Year 10 achieving the minimum standard of digital competence. This presentation is therefore designed to evaluate possible solutions to this contemporary issue, which teachers may be facing within their own schools. It will assess whether professional development courses, including MOOCs, are a viable solution for teachers and potential colleagues who may feel they lack the confidence or unskilled in particular areas, including coding, of Victoria's digital technologies curriculum. Today's students are the first generation of the digital age. They are being raised in a society that is changing rapidly as a result of the influx of new technologies. New digital technologies are providing more pervasive and faster links to commerce, communication, and culture worldwide. The methods used in business, transportation, communication, and agriculture have changed dramatically from this influx of technological innovations. As a result, every child's educational, employment, and cultural opportunities will be shaped by their ability to understand and managing these emerging technologies. Over the past decade, we have witnessed a transition in ICT education from ICT as a tool, with the development of digital literacy as the key requirement, moving toward understanding the underpinning concepts and workings of ICT. Areas such as computer science or computational thinking were typically isolated into senior secondary programs, with a focus on programming and algorithm development when they were considered at all. However, despite the recognised need for computer science education, Gallagher and Stevenson argue that schools are failing to provide students with access to the key academic discipline of computer science, despite the fact that it is intimately linked with current concerns regarding national competitiveness. Reports from the US and Europe have argued that it is essential that children be exposed to computer science concepts and principles from the very start of their education, so that every child may have the opportunity to learn computing at school. This is a driver for computer science to be taught in school as early as the first year, encouraging students to engage in current technologies and participate as creators of future technologies requires more than teaching the fundamentals of digital literacy, but rather also provides student familiarity with the tools and approaches to interact with technology, including aspects of computer coding. Faulkner and Vivian argue that we must also teach computational thinking, the problem-solving processes, and intellectual practices needed to understand the scientific practices that underpin technology. Without this, we face the risk that our youth being placed in the position of consumers of technology produced elsewhere, unable to actively participate as producers and leaders in this field. The shape of the Australian curriculum identifies that rapid continuing advances in ICT are changing the way people share, use, develop, and process information and technology, and young people need to be highly skilled in ICT. The ACARA documents include ICT awareness as a key capability, embedded through the curriculum, and additionally introduce a new learning area, technologies, combining the distinct but related areas of design technologies and digital technologies. Digital technologies explicitly addresses computational thinking and the use of digital systems and data spanning abstraction, algorithmic design, fundamental programming requirement analysis, and cultural impacts of technology. An information report released by ACARA states that the digital technologies curriculum does involve some computer science knowledge and skills, as well as some digital solutions. But the intended focus is on the developing computational thinking, logic problem-solving capabilities. The digital technologies curriculum is based on a systems thinking approach, designed to encourage students to understand the individual parts of the system while also being capable of having a holistic view of the including ethical, societal, and sustainability considerations. Furthermore, the Victorian Digital Technologies curriculum, which is to be implemented by the beginning of 2017, provides students with the opportunity to acquire and apply specific ways of thinking about problem solving to create innovative purpose-designed digital solutions. VCAR have produced a presentation outlining the key components of the digital curriculum. It discusses the curriculum's aims to ensure that students can design, create, manage, and evaluate sustainable and innovative digital solutions to meet and redefine current and future needs. Apply systems thinking to monitor, analyze, predict, and shape the interactions within and between information systems and the impact of these systems on individuals, societies, economies, and environments, as well as confidently use digital systems to efficiently and effectively automate the transformation of data into information and to creatively communicate ideas in a range of settings. The curriculum is structured into 3 strands: digital systems, data and information, and creating digital solutions. The Victorian Digital Technologies curriculum focuses on 3 different types of thinking, including design thinking, which looks at the use of strategies for understanding design needs and opportunities. For example, generating ideas for further development, evaluating ideas based on criteria, and conceiving opportunities for new solutions. Systems thinking. This enables students to discover connections between solutions, systems, and society, as well as identify components of systems and identify intended and unintended outputs of a system, as well as computational thinking, which includes modeling aspects of solutions, sequencing steps and decisions, or algorithms, and deconstructing problems into their component parts. Key concepts of the curriculum include abstraction, data collection, representation and interpretation, specification, algorithms and development, digital systems, as well as interactions and impacts. Computational thinking is the main focus of this curriculum. Students will develop problem-solving skills when creating digital solutions. Students will learn various programming languages, including coding, to purpose-design digital solutions to solve specific problems. However, the implementation of the new digital technologies curriculum faces a number of challenges. As mentioned in the beginning of this presentation, an article written by Trevelyan discusses the challenges the curriculum faces due to the shortfall of computing teachers. Trevelyan questions if every child in Australia is going to study digital technologies from Foundation to Year 8, a question must be asked about the implementation. They discuss the massive shortfall of computing teachers in Australia, as well as the limited supply of students currently studying IT in Australian universities, highlighting that when it comes to implementing the curriculum, teachers who may lack the required knowledge and skills to successfully implement the program will be developing students' ICT skills needed to participate in a 21st century society. Additionally, a study conducted by Faulkner, Vivian and Faulkner found that challenges faced when adopting digital curricula are extensive. They found that a number of teachers did not believe they possessed the necessary skills to implement the digital curriculums. Their study identified significant concerns in relation to teacher development appropriate pedagogy and skills needed for integration of digital technologies learning objectives. 55% of respondents indicated concern with the manageability of the implementation of the digital technologies curriculum, while 45% of responses did not think that the learning objectives were realistic. In order to overcome the challenges teachers may face when attempting to implement the digital technologies curriculum, a number of researchers have concluded that teachers require professional development in order to upskill themselves, particularly in areas of the digital curriculum including algorithms and coding, with Faulkner's article suggesting the support for professional development of teachers is crucial in expanding computer science curricula, including the creation of community networks to share insights and pedagogical approaches and research. VCA have suggested a number of external resources for teacher reference purposes when implementing the digital curriculum. This includes a list of teacher professional learning associations, including the Department of Education and Training, which includes an introduction to digital technologies, which includes links to teaching and learning resources in Fuse, professional learning opportunities, and research papers, as well as the Digital Learning and Teaching Victorian Association, which supports teachers of digital technologies and all teachers who use digital devices in their teaching and learning programs. The DLTV runs extensive professional learning programs, both face-to-face and online, and holds an annual 2-day conference and publishes a free journal. It also provides curriculum resources, advocacy, and consultancy. In addition to these professional learning associations, VCA also recommends a number of free online courses available for teachers who wish to develop their knowledge, understanding, and skills in certain areas of the digital technologies curriculum. One of the recommendations is the Computer Science Educational Research online courses for primary and secondary teachers, targeted directly at unpacking the digital technologies curriculum. The CSER Digital Technologies MOOCs are free online courses that provide teachers with background knowledge about concepts and topics in the curriculum, including computational thinking and coding, as well as practical examples that can be tried in the classroom. The courses are a community-based approach where MOOC tasks are linked to a Google Plus community where teachers share ideas. This has resulted in a sustainable community full of resources and ideas. It is a great place to also network with others across Australia and share experiences together. The courses available include the Foundation to Six Fundamentals. This course is designed to introduce the fundamental concepts of the Australian curriculum, starting with algorithms and data representation, and moving toward an introduction to visual programming. Year 7 to 8 Next Steps course addresses the content descriptors for Year 7 to 8, although this could be adapted by teachers to suit other year levels. This course takes a project-based approach to implement classroom projects. Foundation to Year 6 Advanced. This course extends on the first F to 6 fundamentals, which first touched on visual programming. This course focuses on how programming can be integrated into other subject areas, including English, science, and mathematics, where students become creators. This is a way to introduce meaningful coding projects. They are currently working on the details and funding for developing a course for Year 9 and 10. There has been much debate over the effectiveness of MOOCs. Whilst the concept of a free online and easy accessible course may sound like a viable option to develop knowledge and understanding on a particular topic or subject, researchers have discussed a number of factors that can impact the effectiveness of MOOCs. MOOC stands for Massive Open Online Course. The concept of a MOOC was first introduced by Stephen Downes and George Siemens as they were building a course format to fit with the theory of connectivism. They found that when the theory of connectivism is situated in the practice of a MOOC, its network principles of diversity, autonomy, openness, and emergent knowledge are embraced. The format of a MOOC is by definition open and online, in order to allow as many participants as possible to join the course. MOOCs allow learning to happen across space and time due to its online nature. MOOC participants also become part of a community, with its own identity and dynamics. According to Siemens, learning is now happening through communities of practice, personal networks, and through completion of work-related tasks, in an environment in which know-how and know-what is being supplemented with know-where, the understanding of where to find knowledge needed. As a MOOC is a gathering of people with generally no prior connection, DeWard argues that they have a unique social advantage that relates to a more open and connected way of thinking. This also coincides with what Downes wrote on what the learning activities we undertake when we conduct practices in order to learn are more like growing or developing ourselves and our society in certain connected ways. DeWard's study found that dialogue is a core aspect of both communication and learning results in the idea that the MOOC format could also benefit other communities due to its open and human nature of constructing new knowledge, as well as its very human characteristic of connecting to peers. Their study on the use of MOOCs in developing participants' knowledge on the topic of mobile learning found that 90% of the participants indicated that they believe a MOOC format is appropriate for their learning communities. One of the biggest arguments against the effectiveness of MOOCs are the large dropout rates of participants. The Ward study found MOOCs have a high enrollment of participants at the start, but they also have a high percentage of non-active participants and a high dropout rate. A similar result was found in Breslow et al. Study, where they found that one of the most troubling aspects of a MOOC is the low completion rate, which averages no more than 10%. The high dropout rate was also found in Ghost's study on the use of MOOCs in the university sector. Ghost discusses that whilst the $0 price tag and open admission to anyone in the world with a good internet connection is persuasive, MOOCs have a poor completion rate. Ghost used figures from the Introduction to Computer Science MOOC, which had 94,000 students register to complete, to find that once again only just over 10% earned certificates for completing the class, with most students not making it past the first week. Both studies found that the low completion rate of MOOCs was due to a lack of accountability to the course, as unlike traditional professional development courses, which incur a fee as well as an academic penalty if participants wish to withdraw, participants in MOOCs do not face the same consequences. Therefore, they are not held accountable for their completion of the course. Ghost's study also found that the high dropout rate was due to the lack of exchanges between the lecturer and students, due to the sheer size of the amount of participants. Additionally, the online nature of the courses, including forums, also may impact how participants view the effectiveness of MOOCs, as Breslow's study found participants found it difficult to complete the unit due to the online nature of the course and preferred a face-to-face lecture or tutorial to the forums held in the MOOC. Breslow argues participation in interactive learning communities is an important instructional component of MOOCs, and investigations into the students' behaviour on discussion forums may explain some of the possible causes of student attrition into the online courses. Breslow's study found that from the MOOC studied, on average, only 3% of all students participated in the discussion forums. They discovered certificate earners used the forums at a much higher rate than any other students, with 27.7% asking a question, 40.6% answering a question, and 36% making a comment. In total, 52% of certificate earners were active on the forums. I first heard about MOOCs last year when my lecturer for my Humanities and History method, Dr. Catherine Hart, noticed that many of us felt most anxious about teaching content we were not familiar with. Whilst we had all completed undergraduate degrees in our specific field, the Victorian and Australian curriculum often covered areas and topics that we had not studied before. She discussed how she completed MOOCs in the past in order to upskill herself on a particular content area that she was not particularly skilled in, including a geography unit for Year 7s called Water in a Thirsty World. She explained that the course was free and was easily accessible due to the online nature, and was extremely useful for her, as she had not taught Year 7 geography in a number of years. The idea of a MOOC sounded appealing to a number of students, and by the end of last year, I had signed up for my first MOOC. A new study design had been created for the beginning of 2016, and my friends and I thought it would be a good idea to complete a course on ancient Egypt, as we had never completed an ancient history unit during our undergraduate degree. Our history lecturer suggested that we complete the Ancient Egypt, a History in 6 Objects MOOC via Coursera. A friend and myself signed up for the MOOC, which was to begin towards the end of the exam period of our second semester. It didn't take long before we both became part of the 90% of participants who did not receive a certificate of completion. Even though I did drop out of the course within the first 2 weeks due to the time pressure of my other subjects at uni, I felt that the MOOC would have been a viable option to assist me in gaining further knowledge and understanding in an area that I was not particular with. I think that if I had have known that I would be teaching an ancient history unit this year, I would have definitely completed the MOOC. However, due to the lack of accountability for the unit, I chose to withdraw. I recently began my 3rd placement, where I took the opportunity to discuss the challenges of the digital technologies curriculum, as well as the possible solutions, with 8 teachers. During my discussions, I found that all 8 teachers felt they were relatively comfortable with using ICT in the classroom, as the school had been a one-to-one device school for 6 years. However, when I discussed the issue of coding and algorithms, which is a skill students were required to develop as part of the Victorian Digital Technologies curriculum, only 2 of the 8 teachers knew what coding was. When I asked if they would be able to teach it, they were quick to mention that they were not IT teachers and did not believe they possessed the necessary knowledge and skills to develop students' skills on the area. However, the issue mentioned previously in this presentation, that due to the shortfall of IT teachers, the onus of implementing the curriculum would fall upon teachers who are not technically IT teachers and would be embedded across all learning areas. I discussed a possible solution to the issue through the use of MOOCs. 5 out of the 8 teachers were familiar with the idea, as they had recently completed their graduate diploma in education or were currently completing their masters. However, out of the 5 teachers who had heard about MOOCs, none of the teachers had completed one. We discussed both the positives and negatives of MOOCs to evaluate whether they believed a MOOC would assist teachers in developing their knowledge and skills to assist them in implementing the digital technologies curriculum. Some of the positives we came up with were, it was free, it could be completed online, therefore they did not have to attend after-school or weekend classes. It would provide them with new knowledge and skills on a topic they were not familiar with. You could connect with teachers around the world to create a professional network, and you do not receive an academic or financial penalty for withdrawing from the course. Some of the negatives discussed including a lack of face-to-face interactions, with 4 of the teachers completing online units at one point in their studies, finding it they were generally disorganised, found it difficult to navigate, and the inability to contact their head lecturer if there was an issue. These disadvantages led to a lack of motivation to complete the unit, as it was also often up to the individual when they complete the set tasks, readings and assignments, unlike a face-to-face tutorial or lecture, which creates greater accountability for the student to complete the work set. They also said it was a negative to not receive a penalty for withdrawing from the unit, as it also led to a lack of motivation to complete the course, as they know it would not affect their academic transcript or bank account. Many of the ideas and opinions expressed by the teachers were represented in the literature reviewed. When asked if they would complete the MOOCs created by the CSER targeted at unpacking the digital technologies curriculum if they were required to teach coding to students within the next year, all teachers agreed they would definitely consider signing up for the online course, particularly as they had no previous knowledge or understanding of how to teach coding. However, their completion of the course would also depend on a range of circumstances, including when would the course run, would it be during the school term or during the school holidays, how much work was required of them, including how many weekly activities or readings they needed to complete and how many assignments there were, as well as other commitments they had already made, which they felt they would be more accountable to. Here are a few comments made from participants of the CSER MOOC, who said, "It has given me many ideas that I have been able to use immediately in my teaching. It is easily adapted ideas, and the sharing from the whole community has provided even more ideas and resources." A further participant said, "The online access and flexible nature of the course made it possible for rural remote people to participate in sustained high-quality PD and to interact with fellow professionals." Another participant said, "The language was the most challenging part, but once you saw what visual programming or algorithms and programming encompassed, it took the anxiety out of the topic." After completing research into the issue of teachers not having the required knowledge and skills to implement the digital technologies curriculum, as well as the proposed solution through massive open online courses designed to assist teachers in unpacking and implementing the curriculum areas they are not familiar with, I have found that there are a number of positives and negatives needed to weigh up when deciding whether it is a viable solution to the issue at hand. The MOOCs designed by the CSER provide teachers with professional development in areas they may feel they are unskilled in, particularly in areas including codings and algorithms. These courses are free and easily accessible for participants and teachers who can connect with others from different schools to create a professional network where they can share resources and ideas. However, as seen in the literature reviewed, as well as my own experience with MOOCs, there is a high dropout rate with only an average of 10% of participants attaining a certificate of completion due to the lack of accountability to the course, as well as the online nature, which can affect participants' completion of the unit. However, whilst MOOCs may not be for everyone, they should definitely be considered a solution for teachers who would like to upskill themselves with aspects of the digital technologies curriculum. They may be particularly seen as a viable solution for those who know they will have to teach the curriculum, as teachers who felt they were not responsible for teaching aspects of the curriculum may not feel accountable for their completion of the unit. Thank you for watching my presentation.